Hello everyone, this is Arlane, and this is my breakdown of my new song, Put Closer, parentheses, Change Your Mind, that I released yesterday. In today's part, I'm going to explain the drop, and first off, we're going to start with the sub bass. It sounds like this. So I just did sine wave, and I put it in 2 octaves. And for processing, I did some EQing it to cut it at 200 hertz, low cut at 200 hertz. Some distortion with the Camel Crusher and Head Crusher. I'm not going to open this because it crashes my FL Studio. And then I cut a few frequencies that are not in the key of the sub bass. It's important to do sometimes if they're too present. And then the limiter, and then I added some highs, so I did another EQ here, and then another limiter to make sure it sounds clean, and then a sidechain to make sure it doesn't clash with the kick. And then I'll explain this EQ. It's on all the drop sounds, but I'll explain it in the second part when I play the vocal. So this one on the drop chords, they sound like this. And I have 3 layers for this. So here's the first one. It's a basic chorus 2 from the Wild Coast Sound Bank for Serum. It's a really underrated pack. You can check it out if you want. And then Clean Supercell 2 from the same pack. And then an organ preset for Citrus. Actually a really underrated plugin. It's definitely used for professional songs. Or I don't know if the song's professional, but you get the point. You can use it. And the organ preset's really good. And then for here, I just did low and high cutting. Some resonances. I cut the chords at 140 hertz. Actually, no, I didn't do it here, but I just did it for these conditions. As you can see, I just cut resonances, lows and highs. And then for the EQ, I cut it chords at 200 hertz and I cut it at 7.5K. For the Bigifier, I did a synth opener. And this makes them wider, big, and this makes them more open. Really good plugin, by the way. If you check it out if you want. Camel Crusher, I still put on here is clean, OTT. Make it tighter. Saturation, add saturation. And EQ to clean up a bit. And then ozone to make it super wide. And then a limiter. And then for the reverb, I did high cut, take it to 4. I'm not going to explain any of these settings any further because, well, you could read them. But I basically did this for all the sounds. I just adjust that size a bit. And then I go in here, got the reverb, make it cleaner. I limited the reverb. I'm not sure if this is a good thing to do, but I decided to do it. You guys tell me if I'm wrong. And then for this really balance, I basically, I briefly cut the wet signal and the volume of the reverb on each part to make it so that it's not like reverb from the previous chord. Make it sound cleaner, and then I added some more EQing to make it sound better, OTT, but this one 10% more on the upwards compression to make the reverb stand out a bit more. Limiter and kickstart. I actually used 2 different kickstarts and I did this for the mid bass and the drop bar as well. I basically did a rhythm, like I did this for the pumping effect of the lead that leads have, and then this is a separate section just by itself, and the EQ that I talked about before. And now here's the mid bass, sounds like this. So I used 4 layers here. This is the first layer. It's called Aggressive from GMS, and then this is Serum preset I created myself. And then a hard saw. It's good to use saw sometimes for basses because it makes it sound more powerful sometimes. So I decided to do it here, and also a grungy preset. And then I just combine all of them like this. I did some basic EQing for all of them. Cut lows and highs. I cut these at 140 hertz and then high cut them at 7.5 hertz, and also cut the resonances. Bigifier to make it beefier. Some distortion with the Camel Crusher, Head Crusher. To make it tighter. Saturation on the saturation. More EQing to make sure I got the lows, the limiter, and then I used Patcher for the kickstarts because there wasn't too many effects on here and I needed more room, so I used Patcher. And that's it for the bass line. Now let's into the leads. They sound like this. Sorry for the lag. I can't handle that. I can't do anything about that. Here's the first layer. It's called Lead Cleanest from the Wild Coast Sound Bank. And this is my own clean preset, but an octave lower. A Supercell I made in Citrus. Another Supercell lead I made by myself. A clean Supercell lead from the Wild Coast Sound Bank. A basic piano. White noise to make the leads have more high end. A Ravey really called Million Suns from Music of the Lost. And in my own Supercell. From Silent One. I'll sound like that together. Sorry about the lag. I can't do anything about that. So we have it. basic EQing, cutting the leads at 200 hertz and high cutting them at 16k hertz in this case, and then I high cut to certain sounds more, or I cut certain sounds more and make it cleaner. I did this to increase the mids, decrease here because it's good to do on the leads because it sounds a bit muffled here. I don't know. And then cut some more resonances and shaped it a bit. And then bigifier, synth opener, just opens up the leads a bit more. Camera crusher, OTT saturation knob, all that stuff. And another low and high cut or resonance cutting, and a limiter. And for this peak control and on the reverb and the reverb balance, I basically reduce the reverb as the leads are playing, the dry signal is playing. Makes the leads dry signal way cleaner in the leads, and I also use this delay to make the lead reverb more spacious. And then I cleaned up with these EQs and limited it. And then for the final bus, I just did more shaping with the EQ and cutting resonances and low high cutting. And then OTT, the same thing as the chords. I increase upward compression and make the reverb stand out more. And the limiter, final limiter, and then finally a kickstart. And that's it with that. Now we're moving into the ARP. It sounds like this. Oh, that's actually the break ARP, so you'll hear that next episode, but this is a drop ARP. It sounds like this. So I use the MuseScore Pluck ambient sound from MuseScore Lost. I just EQ'd it, bigifier to make it sound more open, OT saturation, all that stuff. Basically everything I've already showed you. But I also did this. I decrease the attack here. That way it sounds a bit cleaner. And then, yeah, that's it for that. I don't think there's any other sounds in here. Nope. So we'll move on to the drums now. And I'll just play all the drums together. I won't really explain the processing because it's pretty simple, but I'll explain it when I'm playing this. Basically, for all the high-end sounds, I just cut the lows to make them sound cleaner. And then for the fills, I cut all the sub-bass. And then for these effects, I also cut highs. And then for all the drum effects, I just... I'll explain some more later. But and I also did a transient process with them with drums to make them tighter. And then I also have these toms dropped because of drum loops. And the second part's like in a groove. And then for the kick, I just compress it a bit. I shaped it with the EQ. Use this really good plugin to make it stronger. You can check it out if you want. And I process it, and then I increase the attack, and then to the sidechain to make sure it doesn't clash the sub-bass. And then I just have these ambiances to talk about. All I really did here was I cut the lows. I cut some really resonating frequencies. I also cut transients out of some of these. I added more reverb to them and limited them, and then I added sidechain. So nothing too crazy, but I want to talk about this because there was a really harsh frequency here I wanted to cut, so I did it there. And yeah, that's basically the drop. I'm going to play it once again. Hopefully this doesn't go crazy. Yeah, I can't play the drop. It's too crazy. Anyways, you can hear it in the actual song. Anyways, I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. You can follow me on all my socials. Links are in the description. And part 2 will be out tomorrow where I explain the first breakdown. Or the second breakdown. I'm not sure what I'll do. But you'll see tomorrow. And I'll hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.